Alright my friends, Brian with VetteSource back on a much better weather day for us today. As you can see, it's nice and bright, sunny outside, and incredibly hot. So we finally got our first really week of hot weather here in Houston, if you're suffering like me through mid-90s and the humidity. But figured this would be our perfect day to go ahead and start the process of going ahead and cleaning up this filthy engine bay on our Formula 350, our 88 yellow gold Formula 350 here that we've been working on, if you've been following me. So today what we're going to get into is kind of a deep cleaning of this engine compartment. I know if you were watching some of my other videos on this video series I've done here, if you haven't seen them, there's a link at the top there. I was kind of ranting about how filthy and disturbing it was to me that all this beautiful yellow paint in the firewall area and the inner aprons was all covered in slime and filth. Not slime, just grime. And it's just a natural thing of it being as old as it is, and you know, maybe people probably not paying attention to it as much as others would. So you know, this is a little bit different than some of the really good videos I've seen guys do on YouTube of engine bay detailing and stuff like this. Essentially what I'm going to kind of do is a deep clean while the engine's still in. Now it's not going to end up being perfect simply because I can't get the engine out of the way, but I'm going to get to a lot of it, I think. And what primarily I'm going to show you in this video today is this section here. Especially I'm going to try to get back in this corner over here where it's just absolutely filthy, and we'll see how well I can get it without taking this brake booster out. I may end up having to take the brake booster and master out to get to it, which will just create another video of you guys watching me take the brake booster out of the third gen. So and I probably won't have time on this video to show this side, but when you're dealing with a project like this where you've obviously got wiring and all kinds of stuff in the way, the thing you're going to want to do is try to remove or get temporarily everything out of the way as much as you can, so you've got room to clean in. Now, for me, I'm not going crazy with ridiculous cleaning supplies. I'm just using a generic car wash, a bug tar and spot remover, and a little bit of Wesley's bleach white. But you got to be careful with this stuff. This is for really under chassis stuff, black wall tire cleaner. But if you use it sparingly and kind of dilute it with a little bit of water, it will actually get a lot of grime off of there too. But you just got to be quick, because what it'll do is mess up the paint sometimes. Nylon brushes, sponges, just some terry cloth rags. Of course, my 3M duct tape so that I could cover up the engine just so I don't spray everything down with a hose. Now, going back to that bleach white for a second, the thing you want to watch too is that you may notice, you may be able to see how shiny the fenders in the very corner of the inner apron is. In fact, there's our part number of that inner fender right there. I think the date code's stamped in there too, just more on the side stuff. But from the factory, these third gens, even though the inside here was painted the same body color, they didn't bother to put clear on the inner aprons and the firewall. The only clear was on the exterior. You can actually see here, even on this, there's no clear on the underside of this hood. It's just natural, it's painted. So you got to be careful as far as what type of cleaning solution you're going to put on here so you don't mess it up. So the best way to attack this is kind of look at this as 4 quadrants, okay? So I got one whole side here, I've got one whole side over there, and I've kind of got the firewall back here. What I'm going to do is kind of divide this up, right? See this seam right here where this is the upper shock tower? I'm going to kind of start in this quadrant right here and work on this area here, and then I'm going to move my way back, kind of move these things out of the firewall area here, get this wiring harness and this headlight relay out of the way, and kind of work in this area as much as I can. So right now I'm going to start here. I've already kind of started basically getting this wire up and out of the way. This is your main feed wire that goes to your forward lamp harness right here. In GM, what they do is they use a couple of retention clips like this right here. Those just snap into place. You see how I did that? And what you're going to want to do when you go to take these off, let me get my camera right there, is you will take a screwdriver in that area where you'll see those two to come together, and of course I'll make a liar out of me as it twists and turns. Hold on. You basically put pressure on it and it releases. There we go. Okay, you can kind of see that there. See how that end fits in right there? And that's it, just clamps. So when I push in on it, that just gets rid of it. So that removed and got that wiring harness up higher. I've got to take one more of my harnesses out away here. This harness here, that is my feed wire to my alternator. Okay, so that's just a straight up 10 millimeter here. Let me get that out of the way. Get that one out, and we will save that for posterity. And we'll move this up out of the way like this. And again, I'm just temporarily doing this, guys, and it's not going to be permanent. And then I might as well, since I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the 10 millimeter out captive for our fuel lines right here. That's out, and what that'll do is allow me at least to kind of move these back just a little bit more. This one's been stuck on here for so long. I've got one more back here. Hang on, just see if I can even get to this one in the middle of all this. Probably not. So what I'll do, bear with me while I grab my extension out of the toolbox here. Okay, let's see if that'll work. Probably not, but there's one more back here that we need to get to, and I'm going to try to get it now, and if I can't get it on this shot, we'll just do it next time I get set up here. And no, it's not going to work with me. Alright, so kind of following my golden rules. So you can see here, I've got basically everything out of the way that I need to get out of the way for now, and I can work on this area in here to this area. So what I'm going to do first is shop vac this to clean it up, and let me get set up with a shop vac and I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay, we're set up with a shop vac just to get some of this loose material out of here, so we're going to get that out of here real quick. Just getting everything I can that's loose material, rusty battery tray out of the way here, so I don't have to worry about it while I'm cleaning. Just leave this open for me so I can get in here and make that work. Now, a common feature of these third gens is this lousy battery tray here that likes to rust out regardless of where the car is from. This car, if you saw my previous videos of this car that I put into a playlist, I've got that link there at the top. This is a Texas car, so there is no corrosion on this car except for in the battery box. So eventually I will be replacing this. I'm not going to mess with it right now. I'll probably coat this with a POR or rust resistant coating right now when I put the battery back together. Like, this bolt's stuck right now, so I'm not going to try to get that out, but you can see kind of where I'm going to be working with to get some of the stuff out of the way. Now the only thing I really got to get out of the way here is this piece, this shield right here, and I'm going to take that out. You'll find right behind it, there's your horns. Pretty sure what that does, it keeps battery acid from getting on your horns, I think, if that's what I'm looking at correctly. So you can see I've got pretty much everything out of my way for the moment. What I'm going to do too is I'm going to go ahead and disconnect my negative ground here. So these wires are all the way out of here. Now that's actually a body mount ground right there. That's probably going to be G101 is what GM usually refers to that as. So that is the ground wire for our battery cable. So these are all out out of the way temporarily. And then what I'll do when I'm putting this back together, I'll try to put those in there, lay them down nicely. So, for right now, what I'm going to do is start out, I'm going to use this Wesley's Bleach White on the battery tray here. I just want to kind of coat that down just to see what it'll do in these corners without getting too crazy with it. And that way I can see what it's going to do. Take my small nylon brush here. And you can see, yeah, the other thing about Wesley's Bleach White is you don't want to get the fumes too much in your mouth. So you can see that actually does a pretty good job. But what I want to see first is, hello Corvette, is how it behaves once we put that in there. Okay. Okay, that doesn't look too bad at all. So you can see with just some basic wash there, we got that out. But like I said, I wouldn't recommend leaving that on there for too very long. Okay, all right, now, what I want to do here real quick is I'm going to get set up with my other soaps that I can use in here, and then I'll come back in, we'll scrub this a little bit, we'll see what we get, so I'll be right back. Okay, we got this area wet here now, so what I'm going to do is work my nylon brush through here, the smaller one, just because my area is not that big to work with. You can kind of see. Now what I'm doing now is just using the basic soap mixture on it, and it's not getting everything off like I'd like it to, but we're going to start out mild before we get too crazy with it. And again, like I said, I'm just trying to clean this nastiness up just a little bit so that it doesn't look so offensive every time you pop the hood on it. And there's a lot of different angles and such to get in while you're in here, so that always makes it challenging. And remember guys, this is not a concourse type car. This is one of my drivers. In fact, all my cars are drivers. I really appreciate the effort and the time we put into cars to make them concourse, but they kind of become static displays after that. So it really, I don't know, call me crazy, but I think cars are meant to be driven. So as much as I like looking at restored cars, I also like looking at cars that have been driven. So we made a first pass here. Let's kind of see what that does for us. And it looks a little bit better. Not bad. You can see, get some of that dirt coming off of there. Try not to do it too hard so I don't get water all over my phone, even though this is a outdoor type phone. And you can see where I covered up the engine with the duct tape so I wouldn't get stuff all over it. So, not terrible for a first pass, I want to say, but definitely not as clean as I can get it. So I'm going to put a little more effort into this off camera for a second. Let me see what I can come up with, and I'll be right back with you guys. Hang tight. Okay guys, I'm back with a more intense cleaning that went on here. We did end up using a little bit more of our bleach white diluted with some water, and I used some of our bug tar and spot remover to look at that. And you can see here that we actually got pretty good results with this. Now it's not perfect still. Again, we're talking 32-year-old paint in here because this was not repainted. This car was painted once before, I think, as far as I can tell. But you can see it's looking a lot better than it was before. So that was my whole purpose. You can kind of see a juxtaposition here. If I come to this side, you can see how filthy it is still back here. And then of course you can see where that line starts. So I'm going to work on that back quadrant now that I've got this 1/4 or first quarter done up here. Now this here, this scale, I'm not going to be able to get off. This is from battery acid coming from the battery over the years, so this is going to end up staying, and really not much I can do about that. You know, and if I really just wanted to get finicky, I could come in here and get some of that, but for the most part, the visual areas that people are going to be able to see when you open the hood, once everything's back installed, you're going to see that apron. Now you can also see too how this is a flat finish versus your clear coated finish over here. So there's your big difference, of course, there. And I'm pretty sure, if I remember looking at the assembly line documentaries, that as these came down the assembly line, the hoods were already on them when they came down. That would be why the underside of that hood's not clear coated either. So you can see, looks real good. I'm gonna go ahead and get set up and work on this back part here. What I'll probably do is get my tools set up and show you guys what exactly I'm gonna remove to get over here, because what I want to do is remove all this stuff in the corner. So let me get set up with my tools and I'll be right back with you, okay? Hang on. Okay, back again. We're going to get started on getting some of these electronics here out of the way in the corner. One thing I did forget to mention that you can also do when you're in here doing this is you can easily go ahead and take the time to clean up the wiring looms on these wiring harnesses. Like, for instance, I just sprayed this with the bug and tar remover, and if I need to, I can come back in with the Wesley's bleach white. But you can also use that nylon brush to get a lot of the debris and dirt and stuff that collects on these wiring looms. Now, some of these are going to have to be changed in this car, but for now I'm just kind of, you know, taking care of basic cleaning. And again, I'm not looking for concourse. I just want it to look a little bit better than it did, not all grimy and nasty looking. And we'll go ahead and just spray those off and just let them dry. You're not going to do any harm because there's no electrical power obviously hooked up to this car right now, and I'll let those cables dry with time. These are actually my fuel lines here, and I'll be swapping things out anyway, so we're not going to worry about that at the moment. So we've got our 10 millimeter located there on the back of that frame rail, and that one's come out for us. So we'll go ahead and pull that one out. And what that does, that allows me to pull my rails up, my fuel rails even higher, so I can get inside there and get to that. And I need to make sure I didn't lose my other bolt. I have one more bolt there somewhere. I'll have to figure out where I put that. And then over here, to get to this bracket in this corner, oh yeah, there they are right there. Is we're going to go back to our... Oh. Alright, well that's the other interruption we get when we live in a neighborhood, is my neighbors come up and talk to me when they see me working on cars. So, I'm back again. We're going to go ahead and take this bracket out of the firewall here. Try not to lose my nut there, and I did, but that's okay. I see where it went. What we're going to do here is get this bracket out of here, which has our relays on there, and pretty sure that's our electronic spark control module right there in that corner. So we'll get these out of the way. There we go. Nice. All right, so you can see how much trash and stuff is in here, but looking at this, I know I can see right now there's no way I'm gonna get to that back corner unless I take the brake booster out. So what I'm going to do for the rest of the day, guys, here on this video is I'm going to clean this little area here. I'm going to clean back here, vacuum this out, and I'll show you guys what my finished results look like, so we can get into the end of our detailing video here. So I'll be right back, guys. Alright, after a few minutes of intense cleaning and lots of deep areas, we actually got quite a bit of progress made here. So I'm going to kind of show you how deep I was able to get over here in this corner. I actually got all the way down in there. I may take my brush down there a little bit more, but nobody's going to ever see that. Got the firewall nice and clean up to the back side of that booster there. On the other side of there, got all this clean. I really don't know what this black overspray is. I think somebody might have, when they did an overspray or touch-up on this car, they got that in there, so I'll look at that later. I don't know if I'm going to mess with that right now or not. But yeah, over here we cleaned off our area inside of here, and you can see what was actually underneath. The dirt underneath here was no paint. So they either it just wore with time, or they didn't bother to get that specific with it at the factory. Of course, this is still coming out. I may take that brake booster, but at least what this does today is it finishes up this quadrant we were talking about from here all the way back to here, and then over in that corner where all the leaves and everything like to collect on the third gens. Now, I'm going to show you from the other angle so you can see just how much we actually got, or how far back we were able to get. So I was able to get all the way back into that crevice there. That's why I couldn't do this on camera, simply because I needed both hands. And that's that area that I couldn't get to. Now, I'm gonna think about this to decide if I want to pull this brake booster out or not. Since I have to change the master cylinder, but the master cylinder is a lot easier than the brake booster, guys. Trust me. If you haven't done one of these before on a third gen, or even a Corvette for that matter. So regardless, I'm going to be working and getting the rest of this cleaned from this perspective over and then back over to here before I get everything back in place. Now, I'll probably just end up doing that off camera, because I've already showed you guys this whole area of what I'm doing over here, so I'm not going to get too far. But right now what I'm going to do is put all the brackets and everything back together in place and show you guys what it looks like when it's all back together. So I'll be right back. Stand by. Alright guys, now back to finish up. We've got everything back in place, as you can see. Our brackets are installed. Cruise control servos back in, wiper, canister, wiring's back where it's supposed to be, installed in the correct places, wiring harnesses and looms, and overall I'm actually fairly happy with the way this came out, because again, I wasn't expecting this to look like a concours condition. This is a 32-year-old car with wear, because it's been a driver. I mentioned again, if you haven't seen or haven't heard me mention, this car has almost 170,000 miles on it. It still looks really good for the use that came. And just for comparison, so we can compare, this is what my driver's side looks like now, and this is what my passenger side looks like now. So again, I'm going to go ahead and tackle this side off camera so I don't repeat myself here again, but probably Friday I'll have our update. I'm going to throw that cylinder head back on there again. I'm still going to take this side off, get that out of the way, and then I'll probably put the cylinder head back on there again, so I'll show you guys what it takes to reinstall the cylinder head. So thanks again if you stuck it out to the end. I do appreciate it. I really appreciate the comments you guys have been giving, people that are liking the channel. It really is encouraging. And I do like sharing my knowledge of doing some of this stuff with everybody. It's one of those things that makes the car hobby a lot more fun, is to share your passion with other people, because at the end of the day, it's all about knowledge and sharing that knowledge. So thanks again, guys, and I will see you all at the end of the week. Talk to you then.